And today I'm talking about writing in the digital age and the importance behind it. We looked at three articles, one being, the authors being Rachel Donegan for the first one, and for the second one, there was Brad Jacobson, Madeline Pawlowski, and Kristen Tardy, and in the third one, Danielle Seuss Ditmore. And their main explanation was that good writing requires adapting to different audiences and all their needs and looking into different contexts and being adaptable and flexible to all of them. The big idea is that writing is centered around your audience and different rhetorical choices um, different rhetorical choices like your genres and how you adjust your language and how you communicate. Those are all very important. Moving on to the first article. The first article was called The Rhetorical Possibilities of Accessibility by Rachel Donegan, and she talks about accessibility, different modes, and inclusivity. She talks about accessibility by looking at how some people have limitations or disabilities that don't allow them to access everything, and that is just another creative output for people or for writers specifically, because now they can look into different ways of how to put their text out. For example, adding audio, audio options into their text, because that allows people who can't necessarily read or don't have the time to read, they can use this opportunity to use your audio, and that goes into being accessible for many people, and that also goes into being inclusive for many people. And different modes, like I mentioned, audio could be visual, it could be just shorter text. There's many ways you can make this more inclusive and accessible for all, and that was her main argument. Moving on to the second article by Jacobson, Pawlowski, and Tardy, they wrote Make Your Move, Writing in Genres. And by genres, no, they did not mean drama, thriller, romance. Instead, they actually meant emails, research papers, social media posts, and lab reports, things like that. And um, those different genres have different patterns, and when we adapt to those patterns, that is very strategic, and that creates a good framework for what you are writing. And it also gives you a very nice clarity and purpose based on what you are specifically writing. And it just helps you communicate with your audience more clearly, and yeah, it ties back into the audience and make that accessible for more of the audience. And depending on what genre you're using and how that framework is, it also provides more clarity for the audience. Moving on to the third article by Susie Ditmore. She wrote the article Code Switching in the Digital Age, which I personally found really fascinating, because switching and code shifting is something that I feel like I do and a lot of people do without even noticing that they do, because when you're texting, it's really informal, really brief, not much full words or full sentences. However, when you're writing or using or emailing someone, that is very clear sentences that you want to have proper sentences, full sentences, complete sentences. So I found that to be very interesting as well. But she talked about how code switching is really important, and it does matter because you need to know how and when to switch between formal and informal writing, and knowing how to switch also allows you to reach more of an audience. For example, if you're writing a big research paper at the PhD level, there are things that you will understand and your colleagues will understand, but people at the undergrad level, however, they won't understand because they're not at the same speed that you are to all the specific topic you're working in or the specific level of education you're in. And overall, the importance of all of this is that it allows us to have good communication and proper use to everything, and your contextual tones make everything just better and make your text really matter. However, you're presenting your text or your writing, and it just connects everyone. It has flexible communication, and your writing should fit every audience's needs, and that's when the writer needs to apply their own adaptations to make everything better for the audience. And again, there's different modes like texting, there are texts, like chunks of text, longer text, shorter text, different audios, visuals that make it easier. And those are the different modes. And just that's basically to reach a diverse audience. And the importance of all that is because using all of the skills I talked about, that is how you use it in the real world. That is what the real world is all about. And moving on to the conclusion, we want to make sure that all your text is accessible, strategic, and flexible. So, like I mentioned before, the audience needs to reach the audience no matter however mode that is, and you need to be flexible with that. And strategic, you need to know what you're actually putting out there, and accessible is making sure your audience actually is able to get it. Yeah, thank you so much for listening, and